Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Yesterday was the Splatoon 3 Direct, and overall it was a pretty good Direct. At first I was a bit disappointed, but the more and more that I watched the Direct and really analyzed what I was looking at, I'm a bit more excited about this game prior to this Direct. I do have some complaints and issues, of course, but first let me give you my backstory on the Splatoon franchise as a whole, because there's not that much of one, to be honest with you. I skipped out on the first one because it was on Wii U, and Splatoon 2, I got it on launch. I was super excited to get into it and play it, and I got into the single player and I really didn't like it. It was just like an obstacle course with no rhyme or reason why things were the way that they were. It didn't feel like a world, you're exploring, and it doesn't have to be like open or anything. It just had to make sense in the context of the game, and it just felt like an obstacle course. It just didn't work with me. I heard the Octo expansion did a number on Splatoon 2 and really improved the game as a whole, putting in a more interesting single player content. And of course, I didn't actually play Octo expansion, so I can't really give you my opinion on that. And so here we are. Man, it's been so long since I've played Splatoon. Seriously, it's been around launch since I've played Splatoon 2. Maybe like a couple months after launch. I just really dropped the game and I ended up trading it in eventually. So yeah, this is going to be coming from the point of view of someone basically new to the series. I know of it, I know some of the aspects of it, but there's a lot of things that I just do not know. So if I get something wrong or I say something is new but it actually isn't, you know why. Before we get started, go ahead and hit that subscribe button to help out the channel. We are on our way to 300 subscribers. Come on, man. We can do this. Also, if you would, hit that like button. That'd be great also. Thanks. And also, meet me in the comments below. Let me know what your thoughts are on Splatoon 3. And let me know your history behind the franchise. Are you a newbie like me? Or are you more of a veteran of the series? Let me know your excitement or anger towards Splatoon 3 down in the comments below. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into some of the highlights shown in this Direct. First off, the mobility in this game has been greatly improved. You have new moves like the Squid Surge that just shoots you up the wall, or the Squid Roll that can be used to like jump out of the ink really quickly and then back down into it. This looks like it could be used to like dodge projectiles or try to get out of the way quickly. With a new Splatoon game with a new theme and all that, of course the stages are going to be one of the biggest highlights. And the new stages in this game are mostly this grunge looking kind of environment, which, I mean, it goes along with the theme, that's for sure. I don't know. Some of these stages are not my favorite because of that theme and because they have to abide by that theme. And while they do some interesting things here and there that keep someone like me interested in some of its design, I'm more talking about its visual design, not the stage layout itself. That's probably really interesting, but visually, I don't know. It's not my favorite look. It definitely has that style, and I don't know, maybe the layout will win me over for some of these stages. Like for instance, Scorch Gorge is a stage that looks neat. I don't really get much out of this one in particular. I don't hate it, I don't love it, it's just neat. Eel Tail Alley, which, wow, that name, holy crap. I cannot say that name. It took me like 5 tries. It actually looks pretty fun. I like the look of this one. I like the use of street signs in the environment and then the layout of the stage. I really dig that. I really like this stage, or at least visually. Up next, we have Mincemeat Metalworks, which sure looks like an abandoned warehouse, alright. It's honestly not my favorite when it comes to looks, but I understand why it's here. It definitely fits the theme like the rest of the stages. It just, again, don't like this theme, man. And then we have Undertow Spillway, which also looks like other stages that would be a part of this theme. I don't know. It's like with the Scorch Gorge. I don't really feel much for this one. I might actually like Scorch a little bit more because it has that kind of vibrancy. It has has more light. Yeah, I don't feel much for this one either. And then we have my favorite one that they shown in this little reel, and that's Hagglefish Market. This looks so fun to play, fun to explore. The colors are vibrant here, and it's just bright, cheery, sort of, with an also, a post-apocalyptic look to it. But it's like a fish market. It's cool, it's stylish. I love this. I love seeing the vendors around the stage. It's great. It's fantastic. And of course, we got some returning stages, which for me, these are basically new, and these look great. These fit with a different theme. Of course, with the Splatoon 2 and Splatoon 1, they have like different themes that go along with their games, such as Splatoon 3. And I'm gonna be honest, I really like the looks of all these stages. The museum looks great. The Hammerhead Bridge. This stage in particular is just such a cool setting. I love what they've done here. Mai Mai Resort just puts a smile on my face. This looks incredibly fun. And it reminds me of Super Mario Sunshine, only in terms of visuals, which is a good thing in my book. Also, I like how the stage changes throughout the match. There's also more that was shown, but in total we have 12 stages. I would have preferred more, but thankfully we do have more coming up in terms of free content. I'm really excited for this Egyptian looking one. This looks really cool. All the basic weapons from the previous game return, which is really cool for both old and new fans alike. But who am I kidding? The bow-like stringers weapon and the splatanas are going to be probably my weapons of choice. I just love the looks of these weapons. I'm really excited for the bow in particular. The splatana one might not come in handy. I feel like a melee weapon, and again, Splatoon noob here. I don't know. I feel like it wouldn't go as well, for a melee. I love melee weapons, but the kind of game Splatoon is, I don't know if this would do well in a match, but I could be wrong. I could definitely be wrong. It looks really powerful up close, but far away, not so much. The special weapons look dope as well. The Spider-Man grapple hook ability looks so fun to pull off. This ability should be in every game. And then we got other new ones featured, like the Tacticooler and the Reef Slider, because every game has to reference Akira in some way. Also, because I'm such a novice, I didn't know that the weapon shop having new forms of currency would mean much more, but oh boy was I wrong. It's nice that you can get better weapons earlier if you have enough of these licenses. Also, I like how you can pick what perk you want for whatever piece of clothing or weapon that you want to assign it to. It still gives you that freedom to customize, which is great to see. Loadouts also make their debut, I believe, which is fantastic. How has this never been implemented beforehand? There's up to 5 loadouts you can make, which is fantastic. The new training room lobby looks really nice, and it's great to give players the option to just practice before a match rather than just sitting there staring at a menu waiting for the game to start up. Here at the lobby, you can also interact with friends and jump into their matches. Also, the fact that they improved matchmaking with friends proves that these devs do listen to feedback. Speaking of, Salmon Run battles are actually full-time modes. No longer are the days of not being able to participate in Salmon Run because you missed the window of opportunity. This is such a huge improvement. I'm really impressed of what they did here. I never thought that they would open the door on this mode and just let you play whenever. It's really great to see because people love this mode. I keep hearing about it, and I think I played it maybe once or twice. And I just remember the thought of like having a timed event just really soured my opinion over the overall mode, which is a shame because from what I can remember, which isn't much, it was kind of fun. I think I played it by myself, or I think I played it with like random people. I don't remember much, but I just remember that mode being time sensitive, and that's no fun. I'm glad they changed that here. Oh, also, before I forget, I am a sucker for card games and video games. I love the concept, but I often don't get into them as much. I don't know why. The thought of them is really cool. I just think it really fleshes out the world that they build in video games. You know, the fact that they have their own games, their own shops, and all this stuff, and having a card game in the world of Splatoon really does flesh out its world for me. Not completely, but it does help it feel like an actual world. The card game itself looks really fun. It looks like it's basically Turf War, but in card form, which is honestly perfect. It doesn't need to get more complicated than that, honestly. Splatoon 3 is also getting paid DLC down the road, and a substantial one at that apparently, but not to fear NSO subscribers, because it's probably gonna be provided through the expansion pack tier, which would be really nice. And honestly, it would surprise me if it wasn't added on that expansion pack, because lately all the first party DLCs have been appearing there, so it just makes sense. With the new Splatoon game, we also have the titular characters that act as the face to their respective games. In this game, we have Fry, which I'm not the biggest fan of the design. Mostly the head. I don't know. It just looks a little off-putting to me. And then we have Shiver. Shiver looks kind of dope, not gonna lie. And then, of course, we have my boy, Big Man. But seriously though, Shiver seems to be the coolest, and Big Man is such a meme. I love him. With these three characters comes a new era of Splatfest. These are basically worldwide matches that basically put you into teams, or you get to choose your teams, and basically you play for that team, and you get to pick, and it's fun stuff like this Splatfest is going to be rock, paper, scissors, and you get to pick, well, do you want rock to win? It's stuff like that, and it's really, I really like that idea, honestly. It gives players a really fun, it's not like super thought-provoking. It's just kind of a fun, dumb kind of, oh, I'm going to pick this because it's like cats versus dogs. Like, ooh, I like cats. I'm going to be on the cat team, you know? Stuff like that. I really like this concept, and I've actually never played a Splatfest, so this will be my first time, honestly, and I'm pretty excited. By the way, I'm Team Rock all the way. Overall, I'm more excited about the game now after watching the Direct multiple times. I was actually going to be a bit more negative towards the game. That said, however, I still have reservations about Splatoon 3. First off, the single player. Yeah, the way they described it, and they kind of glossed over the single player. Yeah, it could be because they didn't want to show off too much, but the way they described it in the Direct was kind of how it was in the other two games, which, not gonna lie, kind of disappointed me. I was kind of hoping that they would go a bit more in the single player. Make it a bit more grand. It doesn't need to be like open, but it needs to have more oomph behind it, if that makes any sense. The story aspect, and remember, I never played Octo Expansion, so if you're going down the comments and telling me that, cool, I believe you that Octo Expansion is amazing. I just never played it. I love single player content in multiplayer games. It's a weird thing of mine, I don't know. I just kind of expect it, and I really enjoy playing through the single player. It depends on the game, of course, but in Splatoon, I was mostly excited for the single player stuff, and I was let down. So hopefully Splatoon 3 has a decent enough single player. Just give me a semi-interesting story. Don't have every stage look like it was ripped straight from Mario Sunshine, and that'll be good enough for me. I'm still going to complain about it, don't get me wrong, but it would be better than Splatoon 2 in that regard. My second concern is the newscast, which I understand why they didn't mention a quality of life feature here in the Direct. And so I'm hoping they just didn't say anything and it's just kind of implemented in the game. And I hope it's just implemented at the very start of the game. And where I'm going with this is the newscast at the very beginning of Splatoon. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, in Splatoon 2 in particular, the Squid Sisters would sit there and talk for like 2 to 3 minutes every single time you logged into the game. You can't skip it. You can't fast forward. You just sit there and just listen to them talk. This has to go. And they don't have to completely get rid of it, and it doesn't seem like that they are doing that. But definitely make it optional. This doesn't need to be at the very beginning as you start up. You're in the town, you're in Ingopolis or Splatsville, whatever the town's called, I forgot, whoops. But just put it there, have you go up to their window and, have them do the news there. Give the player the option to skip or to just not be there for the news. We don't need to hear the news every time we get into the game. At least with something like Animal Crossing, it's kind of snappy. I say kind of. It's pretty slow, but it's not like long pages of dialogue they have to sit through. And my third reservation is the stage rotation. Now, from the looks of the Direct, it looks like it is in fact that same old 2-stage rotation, which I'm gonna be honest, I really don't like this mechanic. I really don't like this implementation of stages in a multiplayer game like this. I feel like every stage should be available to you. It's kind of mind-boggling. And of course, every multiplayer game has it to where you can do randomly go through all the stages. But that's the thing, you can go through all the stages in other multiplayer games and you have them all available. Yeah, you might get them randomly, but you still have access to all of the stages in that multiplayer context. Here, you're limited to 2 in that little time frame, or at least it seems like. I really wish that this is one of the quality of life features I was hoping would make it into this entry, and it honestly disappoints me that it doesn't seem like it's going to be implemented in this entry. But that said, I'm sure I'll get over it, but it really is kind of baffling that they don't do the whole roster of stages as a rotation, especially if you don't like the 2 stages that show up. I guess you're just out of luck then. Okay, but getting back on a more positive note, I'm still excited to play this game. There have been quality of life features added, which is really nice to see. Loadouts, mobility improvements, that's all really cool. I love seeing that. Being able to add perks to any of your gear is really nice. That and matchmaking with friends, I hear, has been greatly improved. So all those things are really cool. I just wish they had a little bit more, especially with the stage rotation in particular. But you can't win them all. Maybe in the next entry they'll fix that, or in the next expansion. Who knows? But yeah, either way, I'm pretty excited for this game. I do have, like I said, reservations about some of the stuff that kind of annoy me to a certain extent. But regardless, this just looks like a fun game, and I'm excited to go back into this franchise again. This time in a different headspace. I'm willing to give Splatoon another chance, and I'm not going to focus as much on the single player this time. That is going to be a big factor for me because I do like some single player content. If you're going to have single player content, it better be at least decent. But with that said, thank you all for watching, and if you like this video, go ahead and give it a big ol' like, and let me know down below what your thoughts are on Splatoon 3. Now, again, take all that I said with not a grain of salt, but just with the perspective of a casual, basically a new fan to the series, because I've played Splatoon before, Splatoon 2 in particular, but I dropped it pretty quickly. Let me know your excitement. Let me know your concerns with the game. Are you really into the single player content stuff like me? Or are you really into the multiplayer stuff and what they added and improved on really gets you excited? Let me know down below. And thank you all for watching. I'll see you all next time. God bless.